The world is full of giants, huge creatures that fill us with awe and wonder. There are different ways of defining big, biggest in volume or the biggest of their kind. Some are gentle giants, others are deadly hunters. Sometimes titans clash. But one thing is for sure, the huge animals of this world are fascinating, diverse, and beautiful. A giant looms in the dark. A diver seems unaware. Until a shadow appears from the murk. An enormous shark. But there is no need to panic. Despite being the second biggest fish on the planet, it eats only the smallest inhabitants of the sea. This is the basking shark. It might just fall short of the record for the biggest fish, but it's a true giant. Up to 12 meters long and over 19 tons. And as fish go, its mouth is the biggest. A vast sieve, a meter across. Its gills, fanned out to the sides, not only extract oxygen from the water, but they are also modified to trap tiny particles from the sea. It locates and swims through areas of dense plankton, sifting through 2,000 cubic meters of water an hour and filtering out the tiny food. Humans seem drawn to the giants that share our world. They fascinate and inspire. But what is the attraction? And why are these monsters so huge? The world can sometimes seem like a big place. A land of colossal creatures. These multi-ton mammals certainly dominate and even alter the landscapes. Overshadowing their neighbors. But size isn't everything, and giants can come in all shapes and sizes. Even little things can be giant. When something's the size of a black rat, it doesn't sound very big. Unless it's a spider. The world's biggest spiders can be 30 centimeters across and weigh 175 grams. They can even feed on small birds and mammals. Despite their fierce reputation, this tarantula is a diligent mother. She laid eggs underground and tended them for a month. Now the little ones will continue to live under her protection until they are ready to fend for themselves. These creepy-crawly colossi can terrify us, though of course they have no interest in hunting down humans. We are the giants to them, and they'd rather stay out of our way. Climbing the size ladder, the biggest rodents can be as big as dogs. We think of rodents as small, scurrying pests that hide in our skirting boards, but capybara are like monster mice. Over 1 meter long and 66 kilos, bigger than a Labrador. Their chunky bodies are perfectly designed for a semi-aquatic life, with their eyes, ears and nose high on their heads, so they can stay submerged to escape the fierce midday sun. The social mammals hang out in pods, with numerous adults watching for danger while their youngsters play. Capybaras are harmless, gentle giants, but not all of the biggest are benign. Crushing the scales at nearly a ton, and able to stand upright to a height of 2.5 meters, as tall as a school bus. The lord of the Arctic, the polar bear. Most bears are omnivores, but not this one. This is a carnivore through and through. One of the few creatures on Earth that sees humans as food. With legendary strength, it can kill whales, pulling them from under the ice. But in this case, he doesn't need to. A giant carcass has washed ashore. Polars can act like bears with sore heads. They don't usually like company. But when the sea serves up such a feast, they congregate in an uneasy truce. Usually females with cubs avoid the big, dangerous males at all costs. But with the boys bulging with food, they feel safe enough to join in. Polar bears can eat 2 kilos in a sitting, and it's not long before they are picking over bare bones. The Arctic doesn't always lay on such a feast, and as the summer draws in, bears can go hungry. Both their fat reserves and their tolerance wear thin. The first snowfalls are a sign that winter's coming, but it will take weeks for the seas to freeze and enable the bears to hunt for seals. They are landlocked and hungry, and now tempers fray. This bruiser, missing his ear, is testimony to the potential severity of the fights. But for the most part, it's more like a point-scoring wrestling match. It's not to be taken lightly. 30-centimeter paws are tipped with 5-centimeter claws. And the skull, nearly 1/2 meter long, can bite with 5,000 kilos of force. The bears use their battles to sort out a pecking order. The biggest, badass bears will dominate the best areas and will get to eat first at feasts. The bigger the bear, the harder the fall. Big can be deadly, but also beautiful. With looks that can kill, the Siberian tiger is the biggest of cats. It's so big and scary that it's been hunted by farmers wanting to protect their livestock and families. That, combined with the fashion for beautiful furs, have pushed these giants to the brink. Now they haunt only lonely, remote areas of the boreal forest. This one follows in the tracks of some giant prey. Big cats need big meals. Moose, standing over 2 meters at the shoulders, are the largest members of the deer family. Moose make their living nibbling twigs when no green growth is available, and their broad hooves can act as snow shovels to uncover traces of grass. But even when the feeding's hard work, they remain alert. Their long legs enable them to step over the deep snowdrifts that slow the tiger down. Next time, he'll need a stealthier approach. Next in line to the throne, the king of beasts. There is no doubt that lions are magnificent cats, and not exactly small. Big males can weigh 270 kilos. The characteristic manes of the males can vary in different parts of their range, and can be any shade from black to blonde. They also have one of the most impressive voices in Africa. Deep rumbling sound waves that can be heard from 8 kilometers away, even by human ears. They're not quite as huge as their stripy counterparts, but they make up for size with teamwork. The plains of Africa have some of the biggest inhabitants. As the plant eaters got bigger, the predators needed to evolve new strategies to hunt them. Lions are the only members of the cat family to function in prides. Prides typically consist of related females and a few unrelated males who have claimed the throne. Among cubs, only the male's bloodline will be tolerated. With the extra muscle power, there is no giant of the plains that's too big for this gang to tackle. But with their social development, lions have also evolved a complex hunting behavior. The pride fans out, with flankers moving into position to cut off their prey's escape routes. While the strikers creep in as close as they can, ready to spring the trap. One of the strikers falls short of its mark. But the frightened herd's playing into the pride's paws. A wildebeest can weigh 250 kilos, but it's a pushover for this pussy. But despite their strength and pack play, still only 1 in 10 of the big cat's hunts end in success. A successful hunt largely comes down to assessing the strength of prey. If they pick the right victim, they'll be on the fast track to success. But they're not the only giants to gang up. Cape buffalo are no easy target. Giants in their own right, these bad-tempered wild cattle can weigh nearly a ton, topped off with 130-centimeter sharp horns. The most dangerous predators are the ones you don't see coming. The buffalo prefer to have the upper hand, and when they spot danger, they present a united front. The lion tries to call their bluff, but faced with many tons of horned heavyweights, his nerves crack. Buffalo have been known to disembowel lions with a flick of the horns. These gangs routinely clash, and there can be casualties on both sides. When caught alone or taken by surprise, the buffalo can be in trouble. For lions, it's worth the risk. A carcass this size can keep the family in beef dinners for a week. Buffalo are a formidable foe. Their herds can be so huge, both in numbers and tonnage, that they must keep constantly on the move, so they don't graze themselves out of house and home. When they stand together, they are almost untouchable. The titanic battles of predator and prey aren't limited to the plains. Sperm whales are true giants. The bulls can be 19 meters long and weigh 50 tons. Their enormous heads can make up a third of the length and house fist-sized teeth. In fact, they're the biggest toothed animals on Earth. They also have the biggest brains. At 8 kilos, they are 5 times bigger than our own. And they use their colossal intellect for social skills, but also for their abilities to hunt. They are record-breaking divers, descending 2 kilometers deep and holding their breath for nearly 2 hours to hunt in the cold, dark depths of the ocean. The details of what happens there are lacking, but it is known that they hunt and eat giant squid, the biggest and most intelligent invertebrates. Giant squid are rarely seen, but they are almost identical to these smaller cousins. Fierce predators in their own right, fast and brainy, squid are not easy targets, and sperm whales carry scars that prove giant squid are capable of putting up a fight. Every group of animals seems to have tried supersizing. The birds have done a pretty good job, and several giants tower over their peers. Male ostriches are bigger than the females. They can tower 2 meters into the air and weigh 130 kilos. To a predator, that could equal one big bucket of chicken. These giants are too big and heavy to fly. But sometimes the benefits of being big outweigh the loss. With the biggest eyes of any land animal, the male's quick to spot danger. He fans the contrasting white wing feathers, showing that while they might not be good for flying, the wings can still put on quite a show. He weighs twice as much as a cheetah, and the hungry cat backs down. A wise move. An ostrich can kick with bone-shattering force. Because of their intimidating size and incredible vision, ostriches are useful neighbors, and many hoofed animals stay close, knowing the ostriches will warn them of approaching danger. Their ancestors were large, heavy-bodied flying birds. Thanks to their wings, they were able to spread, and around 70 million years ago, colonized new areas of the world. But this family of birds had lofty ideas. Wherever they landed, they seemed to evolve the same traits. The ostriches of Africa have cousins in South America, the rhea. And in Australia, the emu and cassowary. Collectively, they are known as the ratites. All have abandoned flight in favor of size. They have a few other traits in common as well. In all species, it's the male who does most of the parenting. Down under, the proud pops go a stage further and raise their chicks alone. The emu dad leads his chicks to water. In the desert, a knowledge of water sources is the key to survival, and the chicks will learn from their parents' guidance. All ratites are born with humbug striping, a useful camouflage against predators, although only the bravest of hunters would try and snatch one of these youngsters. They are single dads diligent and blessed with eagle eyes, fast speeds, and a powerful kick. But moving from the desert to the jungle, the ratites have raised the stakes in the arms race. The distinctive cassowary, with his bold blue head topped with a magnificent helmet-style crest, is often labelled the world's most dangerous bird. The first toe on his huge feet is tipped with a 12-centimetre claw. He won't hesitate to draw this weapon on any predator that threatens his brood. Cassowaries are often likened to velociraptors for their lethal claws. And because the meat-eating dinosaurs were very closely related to modern birds, this is probably as close as you can get to watching a living dinosaur. His chicks are just a few weeks old. They will follow their father for 9 months. They need this extended field school to learn about the dangers of the forest and how to identify the 25 different families of plants that are safe and nutritious to eat. The favorite food of these giant birds is fallen fruit, and they are especially attracted to any food that color coordinates with their spectacular necks. The chicks scrutinize his every move, mimicking him to get the technique right. Sometimes they jump the gun and bite off more than they can chew. But luckily, before they choke, Dad comes to the rescue. They will stay with him for 9 months, and eventually they'll get the hang of things. Not all giant birds are flightless. Hunting the Aussie outback, a kookaburra, the world's biggest kingfisher. He's not exactly huge, but he's 10 times the size of the European kingfisher, and with a 10-centimetre beak. He's good at using that weapon against a wide variety of victims. Fishing is a family trait, but he'll also turn his attention to insects, rodents, lizards, baby birds. This time it's a yabby, a freshwater crayfish that catches his eye. It's a powerful crustacean with vicious claws. But the kookaburra is an expert in disarmament. The kookaburra shares the bush with Australia's largest native mammal. The biggest of bouncers, the red kangaroo, is the largest marsupial in the world. The females are big, but the big reds can be twice their size, 2 meters by 90 kilos. Their incredible legs can carry them a whopping 8 meters in a single bounce. But thanks to a unique design, rubbery tendons stretch and store energy from each bounce to propel the next. So no matter how fast the kangaroo is traveling, it hardly expends any energy. Being efficient is vital, both to save energy in a scorching landscape where food can be in short supply, and to cover vast distance on this huge continent, where it might take days to travel from one water source to the next. The red giants don't start out that way. They begin pink and puny. Being marsupials, the babies, called joeys, are born prematurely and will finish their development in their mother's pouch. At birth, they are barely the size of a kidney bean. It will take 2 years for them to jump up the scales. Size is everything in kangaroo society. These bouncers are boxers. During the breeding season, the boys spar to demonstrate their strength, hoping to impress the ladies. They lock arms and kick. Their legs are so powerful and tipped with big sharp claws that they can disembowel a man. But luckily the skin on their bellies is thickened, so serious injuries are rare. But these roos are just youngsters, practicing, ready for the big fight. It's a bit more serious when the big boys take the stage. Muscles bulge and fur flies as they battle for supremacy. Whether mammals or birds, the world is full of giants. Some of the biggest flyers are birds of prey. (1.30 m from wingtip to wingtip), the Steller's sea eagle could have inspired dragon myths, a true monster of the skies. It pays to be big in this toughest of environments. The ice floes of Northeast Asia will be their home for winter. They flock together, not to be social, but to cash in on an abundance of fish. which they catch with fist-sized talons. At nearly a kilo in weight, they are the heaviest of eagles. They can carry fish almost as heavy as they are. But despite the abundance, there are always some that would rather avoid the hard work and take advantage of someone else's catch. Ravens join the buffet. But as bird numbers grow, so does the tension. Though they appear to have meat cleaver beaks, that tool's saved for eating. Their talons are their primary weapon. The biggest bird of prey has a very different disposition. Soaring over massive mountains, the colossal Andean condor. Nesting high above the world, these huge vultures exhibit their tender side, performing a courtship ritual before heading off to feed. They use the thermals, drafts of hot air rising from the land, to lift their 15-kilo bodies on 3.3-meter wings. So despite their weight, they barely need to flap and hardly expend any energy. The giant condors take their time, scanning the area to make sure it's safe. It's sometimes hours or even days before they are confident enough to land. But once they have, all manners go out the window. They gorge themselves. They can eat over a kilo of flesh in a sitting. They need to eat quickly. They never know when they might be disturbed. It doesn't take much. Even some squabbling guanaco can be enough to panic the birds and send them back to the safety of the skies. Birds truly rule the air. There is very little competition. Mammals don't come close to outsizing condors, but they do try. The biggest bats barely weigh 1.6 kilos. But with wings spanning nearly 2 meters, they are an intimidating sight. These grey-headed flying foxes are from down under, in more ways than one. They spend most of the day hanging by their feet, using their wings as a huge fitted sheet. Like all bats, they are mostly active by night. Smaller insect-eating bats have poor eyesight and find their way and their prey with echolocation. But the biggest bats are fruit eaters. They like to see where they are going and have big eyes giving them fox-like faces, hence their name. Baby bats are Klingons. They'll ride their mothers for 3 weeks until they are old enough for their first flying lessons. As the sun begins to set, they stretch their wings and prepare to take to the night skies. When they eat fruit, bats disperse and help fertilize seeds, and when they feed on nectar, they do the same job as bees, transporting pollen from one flower to the next. They are vital to the ecosystem. Most mammals like to keep their feet on firm ground, though there are a few giants that prefer to paddle. These are the biggest otters on Earth, not surprisingly known as giant otters. The largest males can be the size of a man. These fishy carnivores build dens on the banks of the Amazon River. When the family's coming and going, they spend a great deal of time scent marking the neighborhood, signposting their boundary lines. They live in close-knit family clans, up to 20 animals in each group. The gang are at their most happy in the water. The giants are often known as river wolves, not just because of their large size and fearsome jaws, but also because they hunt in packs. After a bit of playful banter in the water, they set out to hunt, working together to flush out fish from the vegetation. Through teamwork, they can tackle prey as big and dangerous as caiman. But today it's fish on the menu. By working together, they are efficient hunters and can quickly fill their bellies. Birds follow the otter's antics. They know the otters are messy eaters and hang around to tidy up. The hopefuls are also useful to the otter. Their keen eyes can also spot danger and sound the alarm. The big just keep on getting bigger. This is just the tip of the iceberg. Every animal's family has its giants, but there are some outstanding animals that take size to the extreme. Hippos are the fourth largest land animals, but though they might not be at the top, they make up for it in mouth. The biggest, widest gape, 150 degrees, exposes enormous canine teeth, ivory blades that can reach half a meter. Though the fangs can be used in fierce battles, they are mostly for show. The giants gape at one another to enforce personal space. Though when bulls go head-to-head, those colossal teeth can tear through flesh. The victor will rule the roost, calling the shots in his kingdom, a stretch of African river. Hippos might have weight behind them, but three would have to stack on top of each other to look a giraffe in the eye. Though they are mostly neck and legs, these lanky herbivores can still weigh close to 2 tons and look down on the world from a height of 5.7 meters. Of course, the number one advantage of their lofty position is that they can pluck vegetation from the trees, picking tender growth that's out of reach of other animals. Social by nature, their gatherings seem to attract quite a crowd. But the zebras and other creatures of the plains don't gather for the giraffes' bubbling personalities, but more to use them as mobile lookout towers. The African plains are full of danger, but with their huge eyes positioned so high, they have a bird's eye view and are usually the first to spot danger. Lions try to ambush the group, but their cover is blown. The lioness falls short of her mark, thanks to the noisy neighbors. Nobody likes being looked down on. But on the plains, there is one clear winner in the size sweepstakes. The largest land animal on Earth, the African elephant. The record breaker was nearly 4 meters at the shoulder and a colossal 11 tons. The biggest tusks were 3.5 meters. He shows off the biggest ears, some 2 meters across. And he has a 5-kilo brain, the biggest on land. Elephants are so huge that their presence shapes the land around them. They control the growth of vegetation by tearing down trees and flattening grass. Elephants can bring water to other animals by digging wells. And can transport soil by walking off with mud-covered bodies. In the past, the world was dominated by giants, but as humans evolved and spread around the globe, they hunted the biggest animals for food and to get rid of dangerous competition. Mammoths, giant cats, camels, sloths, birds, lizards, all were removed by human hunters. Today, there is still a huge trade in giant animals and their body parts, like polar bear skins, hippo's teeth, rhino's horn, and of course the tusks of elephants. But perhaps humans are slowly learning to recognize the importance of our giant wild neighbors on the environment and the inspiration they can bring to us. Perhaps, enlightened, we can look with awe and set aside space for these most wonderful creatures, keeping the world big and beautiful.